Welcome back. In this Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video, I will be showcasing my do-it-all build for Boomer. But guess what? You can use most of these items and you can get most of them in the story as you play through. So you can use it on any build. That's right. I want to try to offer builds that can work for almost anybody. Now, Boomer has some special aspects that make him unique, and we'll talk about that as we go. You're watching footage of me about to battle Brainiac on the hardest difficulty. I'm on tier 3 mastery. And yeah, it's been a blast with this build. I want to break it down in depth. We're going to showcase how this works. This build is good for anybody who wants versatility, who wants to be able to have fun play styles and do different things while being able to survive, put out crazy damage, control all of the AI, and then have just the time of your life and flex. Okay. Now, this video is for you. So keep watching. All right, so breaking it down, if you're going to be watching, this is raw gameplay, and I wasn't trying to record. This is just something that I was doing solo in here. And basically, we're on the mission right before fighting Brainiac, and there's a couple of things you want to note. I have weapons that help and give some really good crave. Crave is a way to control the enemies to make them fight each other. And we'll talk about that a little later when I show the build. But you're going to see me do that. And the trick here is to shoot the most dangerous enemy with the weapon that can infuse them or your melee, and then leave them alone and go fight some other guys because they will help be on your team and put out some damage for you as well. So in a way, you're putting out extra damage without even thinking about it. So it's just like a passive. Secondly, if you watch me do my strike, the moment I strike enemies, they become harvestable. That means I survive. All right. If enemies become harvestable right when I do my strike on them, we are good to go. Okay. So you want to have that type of setup for your play style. Again, everybody's different, but every legend is different with their suicide strikes and things like that, or their traversals. But trust me, this is going to be key because you can use it on any build. That's why it's important that you pay attention. All right. Then you have things in this build. For example, my melee, if I counter somebody, they will fly in the air. You'll see them in the air. I'll just leave them up there while I'm fighting someone else and just taking them out. And as you're watching, this will happen very often. So then all of a sudden, I'm getting more time to fight. So it gives you time. You can relax and be comfortable while you're fighting out there, having survivability. And this build can survive a lot. So on top of having the harvest of everybody, the moment you do your traversal strike, you're going to be able to do way more things going forward. And this is why with Boomer, it's a little special. Okay. There's plenty of other things that I have on here that I absolutely love. My grenade actually doesn't do any damage. I know you're going to say, hey, why would you do that? Well, again, another slow motion thing where I can control everybody. If there's a big crowd, I throw one grenade and it'll throw them all into the air and put it in slow motion as well. And I also do 200 more damage right after that. On top of that, they will end up getting targeted by the people that I hit with the crave. So you'll see the fluidity in that. And again, this is just raw footage. Wanted to give you guys just a quick look at the build surviving and dealing with madness at its maximum level, almost pretty much at the end game here, close to the finale of getting everything. So, all right. I'm wondering, well, can you see the gear? Well, yes, you can. Let's get into it. And I want to take a second before we show you the gear is to show you the little manipulation that I did here. You can see right at this very second, I go down here. There's 3 big guys. I blast 1, blast 2, and I'm not sure how this one plays out, but you can see right there, I'm standing up here and just watching them destroy each other. And so I'm getting DPS. I can go run away. I can go anywhere and continue. You can do this with any build, but the point is the way I have it set up, you'll see where if you're actually fighting and not trying to showcase something for, this YouTube video, you're going to be doing some insane things. Okay, so there's plenty to get into. I'm going to take a pause from the actual gameplay and give you guys the build officially. Okay, now I have many names for this. The time traveling puppet master himself. You know, there's so many names that I have for it, but we're going to get into it. One thing I want to note before we get started, I have multiple setups for weapons. And the reason for this is I want it to be flexible for everybody. I don't want my builds to be stagnant. So there's multiple ways to go. I'm going to point out a couple of things here. As you can see on this weapon, and this is one of the ways that I like to play for critical hits. In the future, when you pour all your points into critical hit chance and damage, you can have a weapon like this that gives you 100% critical hit chance. All right. And it says on brutes only, right? But you can't do damage to grunts. Well, guess what? You equipped the second weapon that will also have that on it, which is going to allow you to do the exact same thing for the grunts. So you're going to have a weapon for each. As you can see, this one right here, I'm going to mark as one of my favorites so that I could have it up top and then show it to you guys. So now that's not the build because I want you to be able to change your weapons at all times. I leave this one on if I want to fight a boss or I know there's going to be some big enemies. I'll pull this out. Sometimes I'll change even this. Right now I'm using the shotgun. In the video you saw the shotgun, but I also switch it up and throw on the undeath ray. And we're going to talk about each of these and let's just slow it down. So there's 4 weapons that you can use, and more than that. But the 4 that I like to use, again, either this shotgun right here is the Undeath Ray, and this is a notorious weapon. And of course, you know, you got to farm this, but it's a good item. And then the secondary, and these both give you crave. This is the only thing you want from this weapon is to have crave. Critical hits crave the enemy hit. Okay, that's perfect. That's all you want. You want to crave them, hit them with one shot, and you're good to go. Then you can switch to your secondary. And the secondary, I like critical hits, but you don't have to have that. You can switch it up and put something else that you really like. All right. And the synergy is good enough. You don't need both weapons with crave. You want to be able to just put out some damage. So get a weapon that works for you. I want to start with that because, again, this is about having flexibility and fitting your play style, shotgun, snipers, whatever you using. Okay, this is the flexibility here. What isn't flexible, I'm going to showcase in a second, and we're going to start off with this. This is for survival. All right, this right here might not seem like a lot, but it is the #1 survival tool when it comes to Boomer, specifically because his traversal strike is top tier stuff. When you see his traversal strike, it is so good. When he hits multiple enemies, maybe 5 or more at a time, and you get 100% chance to harvest to make enemies harvestable. So this is going to give you unlimited survivability. You throw one of those when you need shield. Every time you need shield, use your traversal strike. All right. On top of that, with a suicide strike, you're gonna get unlimited ammo, which that makes my submachine gun even more fun to be able to blast right after I get a suicide strike. So this combination is making you survive and do damage both when you're using your strikes. Okay. So for me, hack is a very fun way to have DPS and survivability together. It's just 2 pieces, and I think it's worth it for myself. But yeah, so there goes that. And I put them on right here in the traversal and the neck mod, and that takes up those slots. Okay. Now, on top of this, the reason this is important for Boomer, as you saw his traversal strike right after when the enemies are harvestable, there's 5 of them or more. I like to have the turtle. The turtle, notorious villain, is to me a very good one. Basically, this gives you the immune to all damage for 5 seconds. So while you're meleeing the 3 or 4 enemies to max out your shields, you can't get killed. So that's why you see sometimes like, how is he not dying? It's not that I'm not dying. It's that I literally have an invincibility item. Okay. Now this isn't necessary. You can still survive and do great without it, guys. But the hack is the main key for this playstyle so that you can use your traversal and then do some crazy things. Now, another survivability, which isn't necessary, but it's good. If you want DPS, you can switch it. We're not going to do too many pieces of gear because we'll be here all day. But as you can see, strikes that would ordinarily kill you instead revive you with 100% health and 50 shield. This is a survival item. You want to pick this item up. So this video is somewhat showcasing the actual items that you might need just in general. So you need this item when you're playing endgame, a hardcore mode. There's modes where if you die, that's it. Ain't no coming back and your whole team fails. So you want to be able to have this equipped. Okay. Now, going into some fun territory. And before we go anywhere else, I want to talk about the actual setup for this. Personally, I love this one a lot. All right. It's going to make it very fun for me. I basically send enemies flying in the air, as you saw. There's multiple ways I do that. And one of the ways is through countering with my melee. So instead of having to counter regularly, I could just throw my melee and it basically throws him in the air. Plus, I'm going to get 400 damage. So just your melee alone, you're doing 400 damage with this thing. So it is a melee style build as well when you need it to be. And that's what makes it very awesome. I put Infliction, of course, Venom, because we want to control people, right? But maybe you want to switch it up and change some of that because you don't need it because you have your weapon that does that type of damage. So you can put somebody on fire instead. So this is where that flexibility and being smart about how you set your build up going forward. Again, this is a template. I did not even max out any of the build. I haven't done any overhauling, no augments, upgrades, anything just yet. This is literally right after completing a lot of everything in the game when it comes to getting all the items. I wanted to make sure I can give you guys the best possibilities. Then we'll showcase that. I do have a video if you want to watch after breaking down how to max out things, which I do have on the channel. Now, your grenade is another fun way to play and interesting. When I tell you my grenade does no damage, you'll probably click away from the video, but it really does no damage. And I like it because it throws all the enemies in the air. And guess what? This is very important. Like I told you, we're doing crowd control for ourselves and for our teammates. So if there's a group of 5 enemies and I throw one grenade and they're all in the air, that is a big plus. Plus, I'm going to get 200 plus more damage for 30 seconds. And anybody that I put into a frenzy will target them. So what I like to do is grab a big enemy, hit them with venom, and then use the grenades on the small guys. And as they're in the air, shoot them and let the big guy attack them. And then we're good to go. And this is the general setup. It's very important that you take your time and understand how this works, okay? And it's a synergy that you just saw real quickly in the clip. I didn't really highlight anything specific. I just showcased a little bit of it. But yeah, so that's the general breakdown on how this all works. I absolutely love this build. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, switching anytime you want with the gear. And then if you're asking how to get this gear, again, I got most of this stuff through the story, but some of it I did farm in the Nexus, aka Finite Crisis. And I pretty much have almost all the gear here, as you can see. Just wanted to make sure you guys know. And then now, one of the last things that's very important in here for you to understand how this all works and the system in play. And one of the best ways to use it for Boomer, again, you can use it with other guys because everybody has traversal attacks, right? This is a traversal attack style build. Melee attacks slow motion for 5 seconds, okay? That's critical. As I told you, we're going to be controlling crowds. We're going to be in the mix if we want to be doing some insane damage, shotguns, snipers, anything you want, you can utilize in this game. So that is probably one of the most important, and you get that early on. So you can start making this build super early and maximize it as much as possible. And there's plenty of other skills in here. We're not going to go through it, guys. Just take a screenshot or put these specific ones on, and the reason for it, again, you want to be having critical hits. You want to be able to have good traversal attacks. You want to be able to continuously do things like, for example, right here, making them bleed when you do critical hits, encounters, and things like that. It's super fun with the melee, critical hits, afflictions, all of it. And it flows so well. I absolutely love it. And I'm telling you guys, you're gonna have yourself a good time if you try this thing out. And we're gonna showcase a little bit of the clips. You can see they're in the air. I just get easy kills, no worries, and I'm running around enjoying my play in that way. Personally, think that you guys will as well if you go ahead and try this build out. Let me know what you guys end up with, making some type of changes and twist to this build that you feel is best. And we'll just share more. I have some amazing builds with every character that I've been working on, slowly getting together for you guys to present it. So lock in for those, and they're going to be a little bit for beginners and for advanced players. This is for both, but you can't have every item from the start of the game, so you have to work your way there. But you basically can get this type of build, can do critical hits, who can do melee, strong, controlling enemies, and then just playing with ease, survivability, good damage, and all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and watch the next video. Appreciate you.